Today on Investigate TV Plus, the rising price of prescription drugs forces many Americans to fight to survive.
I just gotta take the wallet and buy less groceries if you got it. You gotta do what you gotta do.
We examine a system wrapped in red tape that healthcare professionals say affects their ability to save lives.
Plus, we rely on them to put food on our table, but America's farmers face a mental health crisis.
Dairy farming is not just a job, it's your identity, it's who you are.
We reveal the stress many farmers face and find one solution: harvesting support for those in agriculture.
Then, mixing modern music with traditional tunes.
I get to show people a part of my culture that I grew up with.
We share the soulful songs she spins to celebrate her culture. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
It's often an impossible balancing act for many Americans, foregoing food or draining savings accounts, all to afford life-saving medication. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. According to a survey released in 2024, more than 60% of Americans see the cost of their prescription medication as a burden. In order to afford medications, nearly 40% of survey respondents say they have taken actions that could harm their lifestyle and personal finances. A congressional report released in 2024 put some of the blame of soaring drug costs on the practices of major pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs.
They're known as healthcare middlemen and control which prescriptions insurance companies will cover, meaning sometimes what patients are able to take is in direct opposition to what a doctor thinks is best.
And that's frustrating too, because as you learn, if you go to these different insurance companies, they all have what they call their preferred list, and they don't match up.
Mike Phillips knows what it's like to get caught in this red tape. Doctors diagnosed him with psoriatic arthritis and found the right medication that got control of his symptoms.
It's a hit or miss, try different things and see what works type situation.
Until his family had to change insurance companies and he learned the drug that worked would no longer be covered unless he and his doctor proved his symptoms were not controlled by two of the new plan's preferred drugs.
They never gave me any medical justification for the switch whatsoever.
We spoke to healthcare experts who say they've seen hurdles like this firsthand.
Many have an additional frustration as their livelihoods suffer as a result of pharmacy benefit managers. That same congressional report found some independent pharmacies take financial losses in order to dispense life-saving medication. Critics say it's an unsustainable business model as locally owned pharmacies close across the country.
Reporter Tan Trung has an in-depth look at how one part of our healthcare system can have a perilous impact on patients and local pharmacists.
Here's the reality Stephen Cayuette is facing. He needs a certain medication to survive.
You see, Eliquis, you gotta take, it's a blood thinner, you gotta take it once in the morning, once in the evening. And if you stop taking it, you might die. You know, it's very important.
Cayuette says it's also very expensive. He's retired and on a fixed income.
From January to July, it's $45. From July to December, $145.
And we're talking per month then?
Per month.
Can you afford that?
Not really, but I gotta do what I gotta do.
Americans like Cayuette know the cost of healthcare has increased. What they may not know is how pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, fit into the pricing picture. According to research published in JAMA Health Forum, pharmacy benefit managers emerged in the late 1950s in response to demand for specialized management of prescription drug benefits. Today, 3 PBMs, CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, and OptumRx, control about 80% of prescription drug claims in the U.S. To understand how PBMs influence drug prices, we visited 2 independent pharmacies.
For anybody that doesn't know what a PBM is, how would you explain it to them?
It's basically a middleman that dictates what the consumer pays and what they pay the pharmacy.
Every year, they promise you that they're saving money. Healthcare, the cost of healthcare is going down, but instead you see the opposite. You see premiums go up, benefits go down. You're getting less coverage on your insurance for a higher premium.
Min Win owns Willowbark Pharmacy in Chack Bay, a small town in Lafourche Parish. He says PBMs control the price for many prescription meds through a list of preferred drugs called the formulary.
Every year, it's a pay-to-play to be on their formulary. So whatever drug companies that pay the PBM the most rebate money, they get to be on that list. So if your doctor prescribes you a certain drug, and if it's not on that preferred list, then it'll probably be almost impossible to get the drug you want. You have to use one of their drugs that's on the list.
Wynn says those drugs on the PBM list are often more expensive brand names instead of less expensive generics. Ella Vasquez is the owner of DBS Pharmacy in Metairie. Vasquez says PBMs are crushing independent pharmacists by steering people to the pharmacies, mail orders, and list of brand name drugs the PBMs prefer.
A lot of the people think the pharmacy make money if you dispense expensive medicine, but it's actually the opposite.
Are you in danger of closing your doors because of PBMs? Like, is it putting that much pressure on your business?
I think everybody is in the same boat. That's all I can say. Everybody is in the same boat.
It's not about patient care. It's about money for them. It's pure greed, that's what it is.
Former Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry sued 3 drug makers and the big 3 PBMs, accusing them of inflating insulin prices for claims made through Louisiana Medicaid. The Federal Trade Commission filed a similar lawsuit against the big 3, alleging they used a, quote, perverse drug rebate system, forcing patients to pay more for life-saving insulin as PBMs made millions in profits. The FTC's lawsuit comes after its 2-year examination of PBMs. It found PBMs operate in such a complicated and covert way that they're able to charge outrageous drug prices without much pushback.
A prostate cancer drug that costs about $200 for a pharmacy on average to acquire that drug. What we saw in our PBM study, as we reviewed their data, was that they are turning around and charging $6,000 for that drug.
Express Scripts sued the FTC over the report, claiming it was false and misleading. The big 3 have denied allegations made in the FTC's insulin lawsuit. Regardless of who's to blame, those prices are forcing tough choices for people like Stephen Cayuette.
I just gotta take the wallet and buy less groceries if you got it. You gotta do what you gotta do.
We reached out to CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, and OptumRx for comment, but did not get a reply. In 2024, the National Community Pharmacists Association released a survey of about 10,000 independent pharmacies. It found more than half of pharmacies do not get enough reimbursement money from PBMs for at least 3 in 10 prescriptions they fill. In New Orleans, I'm Tom Trung.
All 50 states have laws with some regulations for pharmacy benefit managers. In 2023, lawmakers in Congress introduced a bill to rein in PBMs. That bill has yet to go before the House or Senate for a vote.
Still ahead, a life-changing surprise. We share the news that sparked this reaction on his journey chasing a lifelong dream.
Plus, farmers traverse tough terrain when it comes to accessing mental health services.
Too many times farmers want to fix everything themselves. Sometimes it can't be fixed alone. You need some outside help.
We examine the effort to bring life-saving resources to our rural communities. Among the many miles of rural pasture in the U.S., there's a growing mental health crisis.
According to the American Farm Bureau, multiple studies indicate suicide rates among farmers are 2 to 5 times higher than the total national average. Extreme weather, financial insecurity, and labor shortages can all contribute to stress for farmers and ranchers who often live in an isolated environment.
In a rural community, a grassroots effort works to connect farmers to mental health professionals with personal experience in agriculture.
Reporter Gabriella Rusk shows us how it's helping cultivate important conversations to break stigmas.
At Valley Springs Farm in Reedsburg.
This is a Century Farm. I'm the 4th generation.
Don Harms spent decades dedicated to his family's dairy farm.
As I bought the farm from my dad when I was 20.
12 years ago,
I see.
he started to steer the farm's focus to beef cattle.
I wasn't enjoying it at all. I had lost my itch for dairying.
The physical and mental demand of dairy farming was taking its toll.
It's kind of like you're putting in all those hours and it's just like, what for?
Making the transition from dairy to beef
There they go.
was a big decision for the Harms family.
You don't want to look as a failure. You want to be successful.
Dairy farming is not just a job, it's your identity, it's who you are.
Dorothy Harms sought out counseling for her husband during this time.
It just really kind of gave him a chance to, maybe bring out some of the things he was feeling, but never really had a chance to talk about.
She is now the chairwoman for the Farmer Angel Network, getting involved in the organization after seeing firsthand the benefits of therapy for her own family.
It's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to ask for help.
For 5 years, the Farmer Angel Network has connected farmers to one another and to mental health resources.
Too many times farmers want to fix everything themselves, even if it just means baler twine and duct tape. Sometimes it can't be fixed alone. You need some outside help.
It's very dear to my heart, yeah.
Vicki Meinholz is also involved in the Farmer Angel Network.
It was hard. It's hard.
After losing her brother John, a farmer in Sauk County who died by suicide.
He was selling the farm, and he was in counseling, but when you're a farmer in the isolation, it's just a little bit, it's different.
Just breathe in, exhale.
From her office on Madison's west side.
Good, let's just continue. Go ahead, tell me what's going on.
Julia Smith talks with farmers all across the state.
I'm gonna take some notes while you're talking.
Raised on a dairy farm in Door County.
We didn't have 8-hour work days. My dad had 12 to 15-hour days.
Smith approaches her telehealth therapy sessions with her own understanding.
So to have a background in farming, I think helps with the join and building the relationship that a therapist is going to understand a little bit more where they're coming from.
These sessions are offered for free as part of a counselor voucher program. Using state money, the Wisconsin Farm Center program pairs farmers with a therapist that has training or a personal experience in agriculture.
Farmers need clinicians to understand how challenging farming is.
Allowing farmers to log on without leaving their land.
Do that hour, be on the farm, talk with other farmers who are going through what they're going through, find that support and connection, and then be able to go right back out and farm again.
Making mental health treatment available.
It's like, why not give it a try? It's not costing me anything.
To the people who give everything, every day.
You want to try to do your best as a farmer.
The 2018 Farm Bill reauthorized what's called the Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network. It was created by the 2008 Farm Bill, but never received funding. The reauthorization allowed the agency to grant $10 million to organizations like the Farmer Angel Network, which directly helps those who farm, ranch, or work in agriculture.
There's a resource for those in the agricultural industry to help with mental health needs, and it's available across the country. Farm Aid operates its Farmer Hotline at 1-800-327-6243. Callers can get connected to specialized mental health resources. For those in immediate crisis, you can call or text the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. It's available 24/7.
Still ahead, meet the young woman who puts a modern twist on the classics.
Like a blast from the past, I guess you would say. I'm glad that she's doing this for our culture,
We reveal the music that influences her the most and the meaningful history behind it.
Plus, better late than never.
Really, the main thing was I'm not getting any younger.
The passion he decided to pursue after 5 decades.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms.
Many of the world's most successful and influential people didn't find their fortune and legacy until later in life.
For example, at the age of 62, Harlan Sanders opened his first restaurant after a series of failed business attempts.
He would go on to be known as Colonel Sanders, the face of Kentucky Fried Chicken, an international chain worth billions of dollars. Sometimes it takes a while to get chicken right.
Hey, it says, you just keep working later in life. You never know what you can accomplish later. Definitely. A man with a dream of saving smiles didn't give up 30 years after he was rejected from dental school.
Reporter Abigail Curtin shows us how his dedication paid off.
John Pace always wanted to be a dentist.
It's a lot. Sorry.
But after being rejected from dental school decades ago, he put that dream aside, instead working in AI and data sciences for over 10 years.
Really, the main thing was I'm not getting any younger. I've always wanted to do this. I wasn't happy in the career that I was in. It was going to be time to make a change anyways, and this has really been the thing I've wanted to do for so long. Let's do it.
Having completed his undergrad degree in the 90s, it took some effort to get back on track. But after 2 years of studying and interviewing, this happened.
Reading out loud. Congratulations, we are honored to welcome you to the University of Iowa College of Dentistry. You did it!
We did it!
You did it, baby!
30 years of wanting to do something, it was like this huge weight came off of me. It was one of the most freeing days I've ever had.
And after receiving his white coat, his family says they couldn't be prouder.
I am so incredibly proud of him. I've always been proud of him, but even more so now. He has been nothing but a rock and a support to not only me, but to our entire family. And I know he's gonna do amazing at this.
As for Pace, he's still in a little bit of shock over the fact that he's finally making his dream a reality. But he says if there's one thing he hopes people get from his story, it's that if he can do it, others can too.
It doesn't matter how old you are, follow your dream. You can do it.
And he is going to be such a gift to his classmates because when you come from a different generation, you have an impact on other people, the younger people.
You do, and as a dentist, he has such a passion for it. His patients will feel that when he treats them as well too. Very nice.
From following your dreams late in life to chasing your passion as a child.
I always say I started at 10 years old because that was when the thought process came in.
Still ahead, we introduce you to a Mexican-American DJ who celebrates her heritage with modern music. Many are familiar with the civil rights movement of the 1960s, which aimed to end segregation and secure voting rights for Black Americans. What some may not know is during that same time, a movement among Hispanic Americans was growing.
The Chicano movement aimed to end discrimination against Hispanic Americans. It was also the movement that ignited a Supreme Court case which established our Miranda rights, the right to remain silent, and the right to an attorney.
Today, Chicano or Chicana is an ethnic and cultural identity for Hispanic Americans and an expression of cultural pride, recognizing their fight for civil rights.
One musician celebrates her heritage with a modern twist.
Reporter Alexis Dominguez shows us how.
With 2.3 million Latinos in Arizona, the history of immigrants, Mexican Americans, and Chicanos runs deep in the state's past and present. It's the same community where Angelina Garza, aka DJ Nina, got her start, growing up in Phoenix to a Mexican mom and a Mexican-American dad. She now spins soulful blues and funky 80s beats.
My mom would listen to a lot of Spanish music because she's from Mexico. My little sister, she was just random with her music. It was Little Rob to Amy Winehouse to like some really, really deep oldies, especially my dad and my older sister. Everyone had a different genre and it just kind of like all impacted me all at once.
Although she plays oldies, she's not new at spinning.
I always say I started at 10 years old because that was when the thought process came in.
DJ Nina. But to understand Nina's love for music, you have to understand her childhood. Growing up around her dad's lowrider and car shows.
The car show scene is what grew me. I was always real shy. I just stayed in the lowrider because I didn't really want to be a part of like too much crowd. but the music always like made everything better for me. It made the experience. I looked around and it was a cultural thing too.
Her Chicano upbringing is ingrained in not only her gigs, but her sense of style.
Seeing her dressed up in FB County and like how I used to dress when we were younger, it kind of like brings like a blast from the past, I guess you would say. I'm glad that she's doing this for our culture, you know, for Mexicans and Chicanos, and yeah, she kept up in that.
Exactly a decade after starting her career, cue the laptop,
get the basic one,
turntables,
there we go,
and the needle on the vinyl records. She's playing for crowds made up of thousands of people.
I am in my element. Like I get to show people like I dance like I always tell people I dance like a tío. Like I always have like the elbows up and everything, and it's comfortable for me. I get to show people a part of my culture that I grew up with. I'm showing them the most beautiful part, which is just like the beauty and like the lowriders and the family part of it.
While she didn't grow up seeing many DJs who looked like her, she hopes to change that for the generations to come.
I think the advice I would give to like other women that want to be a DJ, do not be scared. I've said this so many times, wear what you want to wear, do what you want to do. As long as you try your best and just express yourself correctly, then that's how it's going to work.
While being herself has worked for her, she also credits her family's sacrifices for her success.
I can look at the crowd and they're cheering for me. It's a wild experience for me because it's like I worked so hard. Me and my family worked so hard for my name to be big, and for that happening, it's like it's a good moment for me. Me and my dad have this joke. We've been saying it a lot, but we made it, carnal.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus.
This example right here, one of our PMF experts assembled this in less than 24 hours.
From online kits to 3D printed weapons, homemade guns are gaining popularity.
I would say we've seen 1,000% increase, and I'm being conservative on that.
We uncover why it's difficult to track as they show up in crime scenes across the country.